Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt panic arrive uninvited, unprovoked, in the middle of a quiet moment, stealing the ground from under you? And have you ever been so gripped by anxiety that your chest tightened, your breath shortened, and your mind, your beautiful mind, turned into a prison you couldn't escape? Or do your thoughts spiral endlessly, replaying conversations, worrying about tomorrow, obsessing over mistakes? Like you're awake, but you're not really free. I have, and well, if you're here, I think maybe you have too. What if I told you there's a gentle way back? Not a cure, not a quick fix, but really a return to calm, a return to clarity, and mainly a return to yourself. Today, I want to talk about something that most doctors simply won't tell you, and most people don't even know exists. Bach Flower Remedies for anxiety, panic, and overthinking. And I'll share 4 that changed everything for me. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a Bach Flower practitioner, herbalist, student of esoteric and vibrational sciences, and emotional alchemist. For years, I've worked with the subtle power of flower remedies, not just as a theory, but as a living, breathing practice. I've used them with clients, animals, children, and on my own healing journey through anxiety, people-pleasing, and emotional exhaustion. I really truly believe that our emotions are sacred messengers, and that healing doesn't have to be forceful. It can be soft, intuitive, and rooted in nature. That's why I created my course Bloom into Balance to guide you into the world of emotional healing through Bach Flower Remedies. Whether you're just beginning or already on the path, it's a space for learning, remembering, and returning to yourself. If you're curious about the deeper wisdom behind these flowers, or you just want to feel more like yourself again, well, you're in the right place here. So let's begin. Most of us are taught that healing has to be intense. You need to go deep, go hard, medicate, fight. And sometimes, yes, those things can be necessary. But sometimes what we really need is gentleness, a whisper, not a roar. An energetic shift, a flower on the edge of a field, reminding you that nature has not forgotten you. That's what Bach Flower Remedies are. They're not pills, they're not chemicals, they're vibrational tools, subtle, safe, and surprisingly powerful. And no, they're not woo nonsense. Ask all the animals who were helped with these remedies. They're a system developed by Dr. Edward Bach, a respected British physician who believed that emotions, not just biology, are the root of disease. He believed that when the soul and personality are in harmony, healing happens naturally. That idea, yeah, it cracked something open in me, and maybe it will in you too. There are 4 essential remedies I want to talk about today. There's loads more to use for fear, even if they don't really immediately look fear-based at first glance. But for the sake of not making a 20-hour-long video, let's just start with 4. First of all, Mimulus, the fear you can name. So Mimulus is for the fear you can name. Fear of flying, fear of public speaking, fear of illness, fear of saying the wrong things, fear of being seen. It's for the gentle souls, the sensitive ones, who live with silent dread every day and still smile. Mimulus doesn't shut fear down. It reminds you of your own quiet courage. It gives your nervous system a long exhale. It says you can do this even if you're shaking. I've watched this remedy turn trembling into trust. Not instantly, but truthfully. Let me tell you a little story about myself. The first time I ever took Mimulus, it was for something small. I don't even really remember. Maybe I was scared to drive in the city or something like that. But it didn't at all feel like a big moment. I just took the drops, went on with my day, didn't really think much of it. But here's where it gets interesting. Stay with me. Because there's another fear I carried for over 20 years. Not a fear actually, but a full-blown phobia. Spiders. I'm talking sleep in the car if one shows up kind of phobia. Cry, scream, leave the house, call someone to deal with it kind of phobia. I didn't just dislike them, I could not function near them. Now, fast forward about 3 weeks after I took Mimulus, okay? A nurse was coming to my house for an injection, and what was casually waiting right next to the front door handle? Yeah, a spider, and a good big brown one, a nice one. And I don't really know what happened. I looked at it, I felt a little reluctant, sure, but I didn't panic, I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I opened the door, got my treatment, didn't see him anymore, closed the door, the spider disappeared. And so did my fear. And that night I sat in bed and thought, well, what just happened to me? That phobia had lived in my body for over 2 decades. And now, nothing. But then I remembered I had taken Mimulus 3 weeks earlier for something completely unrelated. And that's when it hit me. Mimulus doesn't care if your fear is about driving, public speaking, flying, or something with 8 legs. It doesn't discriminate. It just works on fear, any fear you know of having, and any fear your nervous system is carrying. So even the ones you've given up on healing, that's the beauty of these remedies. They go where they're needed, even if you don't realize what needs healing. So let's go to the next one. Aspen, the fear you can't name. Aspen is different. Aspen is the fear that sneaks in the dark, the nameless unease that something's wrong. That feeling when everything looks fine, but it just feels off. It's for the intuitive ones, the empaths, the dreamers who pick up energies they don't understand. If Mimulus is fear of something, Aspen is fear of anything. Aspen restores a boundary between you and the chaos of the world. It replaces dread with a kind of spiritual steadiness. For me, Aspen felt like someone finally turning the lights back on in a haunted room. So Aspen works great on vague fears like feeling of dread or foreboding. You feel something will happen, but there's no real reason or indication for it, and neither do you even have any specific idea in mind of what will happen. It's just a bad feeling. Now, Aspen has a few dimensions. The most common is found in the astral realm. When you're that sensitive that you pick up on all the energies around you and you don't know what they mean. This can be very fear-inducing and, very vague. I also wanted to share with you another dimension of the Aspen fear I personally also went through and what it meant. So, when I was in my mid-20s, I experienced for about 8 months a really deep distrust of life, I suppose I could call it. A feeling that something terrible will happen, something will happen to a loved one, a world war, something just so bad and so unforgiving that it would destroy me. Imagine waking up like that every single day. I once had that feeling again about a year ago, and it was so bad I couldn't believe I lived like that for over 8 months and actually got through it. Now, it doesn't always have to be that harsh. It can also be much more subtle than that, but it wasn't for me. And if I would have gone to a normal doctor, I would have gotten antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds, just to show you the forms and states of an Aspen state and how we can misunderstand ourselves, and even how professionals are limited as well. Now, that said, I am not a medical professional, so if you need diagnosis or medical advice, please see your medical professional. In any case, what happened with me is that my childhood was so disturbing and so chaotic and unsafe that I had to prepare for the worst at any time. And so I felt things coming. I was very emotionally tuned into others. I could feel their emotions before they understood them. But I was also programmed to expect the worst at all times, expecting something bad will happen if I went through a week without any drama or chaos. I was like, okay, when is the next thing coming? So Aspen here has simply calmed me down, put me in the center, taken away that terrible feeling, and it has also helped me to protect my own energy when I'm working with clients. It has, you could say, instilled a certain trust in life, that things are fine and I don't have to worry every day that life will explode somehow. Aspen is a gift that has powers that are nameless. Next one, rock rose, for when panic hits. So this one's for when the world feels like it's collapsing, when your heart races, when your hands go numb, when your body says run, but there's nowhere to go. So rock rose is the emergency remedy. It's for terror, for shock, nightmares even, everything in the realm of acute panic. Rock rose reminds you that panic is temporary. You are more than this moment. It reminds you that courage can rise even when everything in you wants to disappear. In general, you don't only take rock roast every day for a period of time, you take it when you need it. After an accident, when you are in shock, before a really difficult task that you have to do. For instance, I had to euthanize my cat. That would have been also a good moment to take it just before, for instance. All these kind of really shocking, acute moments. I mean, they often have longer lasting results, but they're kind of, the moment itself is acute. So you also take it when you need it, and when you do, something inside you remembers how to breathe again. White Chestnut, the mind that won't stop. This is the one for all the thinkers, the ones who can't sleep, they can't rest, they can't let go. White Chestnut is for the mind that replays the fight, rehearses the disaster, rewrites the past. It's for the bright, brilliant minds that have become their own tormentors. White Chestnut helps you somehow stopping repetitive thoughts. It's even more about restoring peace in between these thoughts, silence inside the noise. When I took it for the first time, I remember noticing the space between my thoughts, a stillness I hadn't felt in years. It didn't make me numb, it made me clear. And that clarity, it's kind of a freedom no one teaches you how to find. So from my own experience, I can tell you that this flower is absolute magic. Many of my clients have used it and have been experiencing more peace, less overthinking, and just kind of feel calmer about whatever is going on in their lives. I'd like to explain you my own experience. So I am an overthinker. Maybe this comes from me being a Capricorn with ascendant Ram, being an earth fire type, but maybe also from my difficult past where I had to solve immensely difficult emotional and physical problems as a child. So what often happens is that the person who needs this is trying to solve the problem in their head. They're going over things until they find another solution, or they are trying to rationally understand it. And you know what? This often works. That's why it's so difficult to shut down. The rational world is served with rational solutions. So it's so hard to stop doing this. And when you're in a situation where you have to find a solution immediately and you keep thinking about it, and then someone says, hey, just let go of it a bit, you'll be like, are you out of your mind? I need to solve this. Only the world is not rational at all on a big scale. Life doesn't work like that. And in trying to solve things, you lose yourself. Sometimes the solutions come from unknown places, from unforeseen situations, and from gifts from the laws of nature, not from your rational thinking. Another example of a white chestnut problem. I used to overthink things I said because I didn't want to hurt or disappoint people. So when I was lying in my bed, I went over, situations and conversations in my mind, and I would lay awake for a long time thinking about this and that. And then 4 days later, I would call the person to say, oh, I didn't mean it in that way, and things like that. And you know that the person himself has not only not taken things badly, they have no clue what I'm even talking about. So I was laying awake overthinking, and they already forgot about it. This insight was very useful to me to just simply let go. And that feels a little bit like how chestnut works in that way. Giving certain insights or trust that you can let it go. It makes you humble, and you'll realize that life is bigger than you and your rational mind. That said, of course, don't be stupid. Do they really work? Not like aspirin, not like caffeine. They're not a quick fix or a numbing escape. They're not here to make it go away and to override, but they reveal. Think of it like this. They work like soft rain falling on dry, cracked earth. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, until something in you starts to soften. They work like light finding its way back into a room that's been locked up for years. Dusty, forgotten, maybe even feared. But the light doesn't rush in. It waits until the door opens, even just a little. They don't force healing. They invite it. They work when you're ready, when you're willing to stop running from your feelings. When you're tired of being at war with yourself. When your soul whispers, there must be another way. I've seen people not just calm down, but come back to life, laugh again, cry again. Speak what they're really feeling, maybe for the very first time in years. So no, they won't fix you. But here's the truth, you are never broken. These remedies don't change who you are. They help you remember who you are. They peel back the noise, the fear, the layers you've built just to survive. And they lead you gently back to your own essence. And that's where the healing begins. Want to go deeper? If this speaks to you, if any part of you whispered, yes, while I was talking, I want to invite you to something really beautiful. I created a free class that goes deeper into the world of Bach flowers. It's called How I Turned Stress into Strength Using Personalized Remedies, and how you can do it too. And if you're ready to really dive into your own patterns, your own healing, and the deeper emotional wisdom inside of you, then my full course, Bloom into Balance, might be your next step. It's not just about flower remedies, it's about becoming someone who understands their emotions, their energy, and their soul. You'll find all the links below. Take what calls you, leave what doesn't. You'll know. And before you go, I want to remind you of something. Anxiety doesn't mean you're weak. Overthinking doesn't mean you're broken. Panic doesn't mean you failed. It just means your nervous system is asking for help. And maybe a few drops of something wild and gentle can help you remember who you were before fear took the wheel. You're not alone and you're not too much. And you are allowed to feel safe again. Thank you so much for being here.